Hi, Julie Jones from SSB Performance, Smarter, Stronger, Better Mindset Training, here with this week's Mindset Made Simple Tip of the Week, brought to you by Game Day Sportswear. This week, we're talking about, say, focus, 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 or whatever you want, but say something, because this tool helps you win, whether you're on the field, the court, or in life. Today, we're talking about scripts or mantras or affirmations or whatever you want to call them and their benefit. And let's go back 20 some years ago or so, and I remember it like it was yesterday. We played until 2:30 in the morning, 21 innings to get to the finals of what was then the MCC softball championship. We drove home from the field 2:30, had been at the field. I think the game started at 7 or something like that. And prior to this, our rooms had been broken into at the hotel. So it was like quite the day. But we win and we were going home, and we don't have any place to eat because there's one restaurant open, a drive-through in Detroit. The kids slept in their uniforms, some of them. We didn't get to wash sliders or socks, so we went with what we had. And when we got back to the field the next morning, I'll never forget the feeling of walking in there. We were so ready to play the championship. But before that, our reporter stopped and talked to Amy Kyler, who was our pitcher, now the head coach at Cleveland State, who will be soon looking for a job because they cut the program. That's another story. We'll get to that at some point too. But they were talking to Kyler because she had set the NCAA strikeout record. She broke whoever had the record. I can't remember who it was, Debbie Doom, somebody big. And it was a great game. So they were talking to her like, how do you manage pressure? What are you doing out there? And this is what I heard, or something similar. She said, I say, focus, focus, focus. And right then and there, I was just standing off to the side. I had nothing to do with the interview. We were getting everybody else ready for the game. I was like, yes, we are going to win. 3 innings in, she had already struck 10 people out. Then I knew we were going to win. I had a pretty good chance, or a pretty good feeling we were going to. But going back to that statement of her saying, when I feel pressure or when things start to get a little fast on me, I say, focus, focus, focus. She had bought hook, line, and sinker what Dr. Ziegler, our sports psychologist, had been talking about all through the year about managing your self-talk. And if your best player, we had great players on that team, but one of the best was Amy Kyler. We also had the Player of the Year. We also had an academic All-American and a bunch of other great players too. But if that kid in the center of the circle has the wherewithal to know that I've got to have a script that says, focus, 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 your chances of winning are much better. Now, people say that mantras and positive self-talk are foo-foo. And I'm not here to talk, actually, about positive self-talk. I'm here to talk about mantras, which I call scripts, and their benefit. These mantras help direct our self-talk. It's not fluff. It's science. There are tons of research studies out there that say that having a script, knowing what to say, telling yourself what you're going to do helps improve your performance. The brain is wired to respond to repeated phrases. Making the scripts much more powerful than just whatever's going to come to your mind. We know that we don't control our thoughts. Thoughts just come into our mind and they're there. We can always get a second chance with them, decide what we're going to do. But sometimes I contend that it's better to already know what to think in pressure situations, already have something to put in there in certain situations so that we don't have to search when we're under pressure. We don't have to search for what the right answer is. We already know what puts us into our best position to perform. Repetitive statements, according to research, repetitive positive statements, it says, can strengthen neural pathways that are associated with self-belief, and research consistently supports the power to enhance focus, confidence, and resilience under pressure. Now, one of my favorite books is called It Takes What It Takes, and author Trevor Moawad would contend that it's not positive statements that we need to use, it's neutral statements. And I have a tendency to sort of go along with his way of thinking, because sometimes if we say, I'm great or I'm good, we don't believe it. But neutral statements are very powerful because they are talking about what we're doing or where we are and what is factual and what is coming next and what we know how to do when it's time to do it. what we're doing, whether we're using positive statements or neutral statements, is we are not talking crap to ourselves. Either a positive statement or a neutral statement takes the place or the time away from any negative statement that might come up. So either way, whether you are into positive self-talk or you're into neutral and fact-based self-talk, it doesn't really matter in some ways. It's just the fact that it's keeping you away from the BS radio station that's running in your head. But sports psychology research backs all this up. In a meta-analysis published in Perspectives on Psychological Science back in 2021, they reviewed 32 studies on self-talk and found that athletes who used instructional self-talk, meaning stay low, drive through, or motivational self-talk, meaning I'm strong and ready, performed significantly better than those that didn't. But if we take this one step further and we add in Dr. Ethan Kross from Michigan's research, he claims that if we talk to ourselves in the second or third person, we're even better off. Research shows that people who talk to themselves in the third person perform slightly better than people who talk to themselves in the first person. So we're going to say, you've got this, Julie, or, Julie, you are ready, you are prepared, Julie, you know what to do, instead of I've got this. The first person who's talking to themselves with their name, LeBron James does this all the time. Another example that they use in popular culture is Jennifer Garner has a tendency to do it as well. But sometimes it puts psychological space between you and whatever's ahead of you, and that allows you to think of it a little bit differently. It helps us avoid emotional overwhelm, and it allows for more objective thinking. Then another study published in Scientific Reports in 2017, I should say, they use brain imagery to show that talking to yourself, especially in a calm and instructional tone, elevates or activates the prefrontal cortex. And we know that when the prefrontal cortex is activated instead of the amygdala, our emotional center of the brain, we're better off. We can be more rational. We're able to think a little bit more clearly. It's an advantage. So instructional or motivational self-talk are beneficial to our performance. The shift from our amygdala to our rational thinking is crucial in pressure situations where emotions can hijack our performance. And you've been hijacked by your performance, just like I get hijacked in little daily things by my emotion that are just silly at times. Other simple language shifts make a difference too. We're going to go back to Dr. Belak, the president of Dartmouth's research again. Her study shows that instead of saying don't mess up, and say focus on what you want to do instead, makes a big difference. And I talk to my athletes about this all the time. It's talking about what you want instead of what you're trying to avoid. We're ordering what we want. We don't go to the restaurant and order what we don't want. We go to the restaurant and we order what we do want. We need to do the same thing in our self-talk. Instead of saying don't mess up, tell yourself what you want to do. Focus on X, Y, and Z. And one more study, at least one more study as we go, I think this might be the last one, found that silent scripts or spoken aloud scripts, I like talking out loud personally, activate the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine, right? That awesome neurotransmitter that's linked to motivation and confidence. This can help a leader, an athlete, if we have a script that we're saying in our mind or out loud, step up to the plate, whatever the plate means to you, with a little bit more confidence. So whether you're a struggling athlete, whether you're a coach, whether you're a leader, we all need scripts. And as I first started in mental performance, and even when I was coaching, I thought, you know what? One script is probably enough. We just need a mistake ritual, something to get us back to focus. But now I think that might be a little short-sighted. Maybe you have one for different areas. You know what distracts you, what pulls you back in that moment. What do you need to hear from yourself or a coach who can now be in your own head? Because a coach can't be on the mound with you. A coach isn't going to be up in front of a presentation with you. No matter who you are, if you're the CEO, no one is there to help you. It's you. So what do you need that coach to say in your head? Well, as I mentioned, these are the how-tos, right? Dr. Kross says that we use third or second person talking. Instead of saying, I need to be composed, we say, you've handled situations like this before. I talk to my athletes all the time. You're going to feel emotion. You've felt those emotions before. Let's talk about how you got through them or what you need to say to yourself to say, hey, I've done this before. It may not have been easy, but I have done this before and I came out on the other side. And here we are, wherever we are now. This simple shift can increase resilience and a little bit of self-regulation. And then as I recommend, and I know I haven't done studies, but I can read the studies, and I don't need to do the studies because all these people are doing them for us, we need to say it out loud. Say stuff out loud, not just in your head. Saying it out loud engages more sensory pathways in the brain and enhances focus and confidence. Vocalizing scripts increases their effectiveness compared to silent repetition. Now, both are important, but saying out loud makes a difference. Dr. Huberman, one of my faves as well, in his work on neuroplasticity and performance states, adds to this. He says that spoken mantras and self-talk activate the vagus nerve, calming the nervous system and reducing anxiety. Saying it out loud, humming out loud, reduces anxiety and releases a little bit of the vagus nerve. That's not talking out loud, but again, it's that same kind of feeling that when you're talking and there's vibrations coming through your mouth, you're relaxing your vagus nerve. But if you're getting the crap kicked out of you and a positive statement isn't what you need, then go back to Trevor Moawad's neutral thinking. Here are some ways we can look at it. Asking a question, what's next? Where are we? What can we do? How are we going to do it? Those questions. They have no emotional connection. They're just looking for answers. We can say something like one pitch at a time. We can say control what you can control. These are neutral statements that have no connection to outcome, and they're keeping us focused on process. If saying you're the best or you've got this isn't going to cut it, then cut that out and talk about what's happening now. What's important now? I am convinced that everyone, from the person who goes into pension every now and again to the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, needs a script. They can benefit from developing them and having them at the ready, because when we need them the most, they're not just going to happen, and we've got to practice them. Sometimes it's better to have something set than to just to go with whatever thought comes to your head, because who knows what that's going to be when we're under pressure. Dr. Don Green, who has worked with some of the best musicians in the world, he's worked with Olympians, he's worked with Navy SEALs, has found that simple phrases like stay loose or breathe and attack, aggressive and on your toes, that's one of my wrestlers, that's what he uses. They help performers quiet the inner critic, which we all have, and we can stay more present under pressure. But just like anything else, for these tools to work, we have to first develop them, and then we have to practice them. I encourage the kids that I work with to use whatever their scripts are in other parts of life as well. When they get distracted or when they get frustrated and they go to that. I had, turn the page was something that was simple for me. I use that not only when I'm in some sort of physical confrontation with myself or trying to get past something, but also when I'm just walking down the hall and I have some thought that I don't want, I turn the page, and then it's my go-to because I practiced it. And as I mentioned, maybe we need to choose to write a script or have a script ready for our confidence when we need confidence, for when we need to focus, for when we need to bounce back from mistakes, for when we need to chill and get back to present from something great that just happened or anything that distracts us. But what can we say to ourselves that's instructional or motivational or neutral or something that brings us back to present? What can we say? We need to have a script. We need to read it. We need to recite it. We need to practice it over and over, and it needs to be ready in the context of pressure, because when we're under pressure, we don't think straight. Great time for a script. If practicing them out loud, practice them in our head. If we have something to say like fast hands, smooth follow through for hitters, or if you have lead with clarity and coach with confidence for our coaches, if we have something that says stay calm or communicate clearly for business leaders, if we use those throughout the day or even in our mental rehearsal, then those will be our go-tos. But until we practice them, that's not what we're going to go to when we need to. We're going to go to, oh my gosh, you have to do this, or you have to do that, or this could happen, or what if? And all those are not helpful. But we know what's helpful. And if we can plan out and take with us what is helpful, our chances of doing what we want to do increase exponentially. So, what's your script? What do you need a script for? I encourage you to write those down this week. Build them with those that you lead. Have them ready so that they can have a script little package that they can take out with them and face whatever comes their way. If you'd like help with your team and their self-talk and building scripts for you and for them together as a group, please reach out, juliej@ssbperformance.com. And before I forget, don't forget or remember to check out Game Changers Athlete Edition podcast on Apple, Spotify, or any place that you get your podcasts. Check out our new podcast. We have a blast doing it. I hope that it's helpful. Share it with athletes, share it with parents. I hope that it provides information that will help all of you leaders and all of you athletes and all of you parents do your job just a little bit better. Until next week, have a great week.